All right, it's time. I know the second I say stoichiometry, your stomach flip-flops and you want to vomit. But I'm going to teach you stoichiometry in a way that I wish stoichiometry would have been taught to me. It's not going to be bad. You've made it this far. You are ready for this challenge. All right, let's use snowboarding as an example. So for those of you who aren't familiar with snowboarding, this is not the same setup every single person has, but we're going to use this board and binding set as our setup for this example. If I were to ask you what are the parts we need to make a snowboard, okay, you would probably tell me we need one board. Okay, we're going to need two bindings, one for each foot. We'll call these binding plates. I don't really know what those are called. So we need two of those, call them two plates. And we are going to need 8 screws and 8 bolts. And no offense to the ski lift companies, I'm not going to include my leash. It's just never going to get used anyway. If I have all of these parts, I can make one snowboard. Okay, are we all in agreement on this? Each of those parts. This is a balanced equation because one snowboard has 8 screws and 8 bolts and 2 plates and 2 bindings and 1 board. Okay, this is a balanced equation. So let's say I have everything. I have an enormous amount, a huge warehouse, and I have unlimited supplies of everything except for plates. Let's say in my warehouse, I only have 8 plates. How many snowboards? If everything else is an unlimited supply, how many snowboards could I make? Well, you need 2 plates per snowboard. That's 2, 4, 6, 8. So if I have 8 plates, the most I can make are 4 complete snowboards. What we have just done is stoichiometry. When we say stoichiometry, we're really just doing problems from a balanced equation. So we're converting, say, grams of reactant to grams of the product. We are starting with a certain number of boards, and we're going to wind up with a certain number of complete snowboard sets. So let's look at the mole ratios that are involved in this. So in this equation, I have 2 sodiums plus a diatomic element, chlorine gas, gives me 2 sodium chloride. So this is a balanced equation. I have 2 moles of sodium, 1 mole of Cl2, and 2 moles of sodium chloride. These are all ratios to each other. So the coefficient tells us the number of moles. I have 2 moles of sodium per 1 mole of chlorine. I have 2 moles of sodium per 2 moles of sodium chloride. 1 mole of chlorine gas per 2 moles of sodium chloride. These are all ratios. Okay, so looking at this list at the bottom, these are all the possible conversion factors or mole ratios that I have from this balanced equation. I know that there are 2 moles of sodium for every 1 mole of chlorine. That is my balanced equation. I could also flip that same thing on its head. I know I have 2 moles of sodium for every 1 mole of chlorine. I'm sorry, 2 moles of sodium chloride for every 1 mole of chlorine. And I can flip that around also. There's all these different mole ratios in a balanced equation, and we can use those if we know how much sodium we start with, and we know the ratio of how those are used to produce our product. We can predict how much product can be made. Before we get into our actual examples, let's talk about stoichiometry as a process, as a set of steps. So the very first step is going to be to write a balanced equation. We always start here. So we spent an entire unit learning how to take the name of a compound and convert that into a formula, how to write a neutral compound if it's ionic, and then we talked about how to do subscripts, how to cancel charges, and how to balance equations. So all of that is coming back because we need to start from the balanced equation. We want to determine what it is we know. What is it are we starting with? Where are we ending? Where are we going? So what unit are we starting with? What unit are we ending with? And then we have to figure out what ratios or conversion factors it's going to take for us to get there. I may start with grams. I need to convert grams to moles before this mole map is even useful. I'll need a mole ratio so that I can switch from moles of one substance to moles of another, like we saw in the previous slide. I may then have to take my new substance in moles and convert it back to grams depending on where it is we're ending. So there's a lot of different conversion factors that can go in here. And this is why we're going to practice writing our unit map, because that's going to help us to see the big picture of how we get from point A to point G or Z or however far that we're going to go. We're going to do stoichiometry. So the question, we're going to read it very carefully. We're going to underline what we know. We're going to box what we don't. We're going to write a unit map. We're doing all the things because when we skip the steps, we start to lose the process. So bear with me. How many moles of chlorine are needed? They want me to find moles of chlorine. How many are needed to combine with 0.500 moles of sodium when forming sodium chloride? So from this, let's start by getting that balanced equation, because that was step number 1 on my process, was my balanced equation. So it looks like I'm combining sodium and chlorine. So sodium is a metal, it does not need a subscript of 2, and it's combining with chlorine, which is a diatomic element. It's part of Brinkelhoff. It goes nowhere alone. I do have to put the 2 after it. And we're told that this forms, and it looks like a synthesis reaction, sodium plus 1, oops, not plus C, silly goose, plus 1, chlorine minus 1, oh, no subscript needed, opposite but equal. I'm just going to scooch these guys together because they are now in an ionic bond. They're stuck together. All right, last step is to balance this equation. I have 1 sodium, 2 chlorines, 2 chlorines. Oops, that changes my number of sodium. All right, good to go. We have a balanced equation. So the next step is to figure out where we're starting and where we're going, and then we'll figure out what ratios and conversion factors are needed to get from point A to point B. So we are starting with moles of sodium, and they want us to go to moles of chlorine. Anytime you see the substance change, you should know, that should be a red flag. We're writing in red. It's a red flag. That this is stoichiometry and that you're going to need a mole ratio. And the mole ratio comes from the balanced equation. So we are going from moles of sodium to moles of chlorine. If we start with this much, how many of the other are we going to need? So this is a single step conversion because we're already starting in moles of sodium. We're going to use a mole ratio and we're going to moles of chlorine. So my mole ratio for this, I know that I have 2 moles of sodium for every 1 mole of chlorine. And this could also be written 1 mole of chlorine for every 2 moles of sodium. So those are interchangeable. You can swap those depending on what you're trying to cancel. This is a one-step problem. We're going to start out 0.500 moles of sodium. This is where the mole ratio comes in. Does it make sense to put this mole ratio on the left or the one on the right? If you said the one on the right, you're correct, because I'm going to put moles of chlorine on top. That's what I'm trying to get to. And I'm going to put my moles of sodium on the bottom because that's what I'm trying to cancel. And I know that these 2 things are in a 1:2 ratio to each other. Multiply across the top, divide by the bottom, and we'll be rounding to 3 sig figs because that's the number given. We don't use the ratios for significant figures. So we're going to go to 3 sig figs out of the calculator. 0.250 moles of chlorine is our answer. I feel like that last one was deceivingly easy, so let's take a look at the most difficult stoichiometry problem I can come up with right this second at your skill level. So this is as bad as it will get for stoichiometry. Are you ready? Let's dig in. How many grams of aluminum, so they want me to find grams of aluminum, that's unknown, are needed to make 24.4 grams of aluminum oxide. So we know that we have aluminum combining with who the heck knows what to form aluminum. That's a +3 oxide, 2 minus. So notice that I'm using my skills from chapter 3. I'm dropping and swapping, checking charges. That's not given to me. Well, it looks like this is a synthesis reaction, and aluminum is combining with oxygen to form aluminum oxide. Oxygen is a diatomic element. It's part of Brinkelhoff, so we will put a 2 in front of it. This is an unbalanced equation. We have to start with a balanced equation, so I'm going to go ahead and balance. I have 1 aluminum, 2 aluminum, so I'll put a 2 in front. I have 2 oxygens and 3 oxygens. Crap. The first number that 2 and 3 have in common is 6. So I'm going to have to multiply this side by 3 because 3 times 2 is 6. And I'll multiply this compound by 2 because 2 times 3 is 6. But that changes my number of aluminum. What a pain in the butt. Oh, no, it's okay. I totally got it. Be patient with this. It does get a lot easier. So now we have a balanced equation. Now we're going to want to figure out where we're starting from and where we're going. And to do that, we're going to make a unit map. So we know we're going to make a certain number of grams of aluminum oxide. I'm going to write this all the way on the other side because I don't know how much room, how many conversions I'm going to need. They're asking me how many grams of aluminum do I need to get there? Okay, so we have grams of one substance and grams of another. No, the substance is changing. That should be a red flag because somewhere in the middle we have a mole ratio. And that mole ratio, we are going to go from grams of aluminum oxide to grams of aluminum. And the mole ratio lets that happen. It uses the coefficients, the mole ratios in the balanced equation, to switch substances. But you can't use a mole ratio unless you have moles. So my first step is going to be to take grams of aluminum oxide and I'm going to convert that to moles of aluminum oxide. Once I'm in moles, then I can cancel moles of aluminum oxide and wind up with moles of aluminum. So after the mole ratio, I'll have moles of aluminum, and I can use my mole map. I can use the molar mass to convert from moles of a substance to grams of the substance. So just looking at this, I know I'm going to need to use my molar mass here to convert. That's one conversion factor. I am going to, this isn't actually a conversion factor. Your mole ratio is the conversion factor to get from moles of one substance to moles of another. And then finally, I am going to need, again, my grams per mole, my molar mass, to convert from moles of aluminum to grams of aluminum. I have done the heavy lifting and the hard thinking for this problem. The one thing I'm going to need to be able to just plug this into my T-chart are my molar masses. So to save us a little bit of time, okay, 2 aluminums plus 3 oxygens, I'm just figuring out the molar mass from looking at the periodic table, is 102.0 grams. All right, I thought something was wrong there. This is using the wrong periodic table. We go to 2 decimal places, and because of that, your mass would be 101.96 grams. So my apologies for that mistake. Ignore that other number. And then aluminum is just coming straight off of the periodic table, which is 26.98 grams per mole. All right, we're ready. Let's do it. Incredibly long T-chart. Okay. So we know we're starting with 24.4 grams of aluminum oxide. We are here. To get to moles of aluminum oxide, we're going to need to use our molar mass. So I'm going to put the grams on the bottom, 101.96 grams, because I want to cancel the grams of aluminum oxide. Cancel grams, and I want to be left with moles of aluminum oxide. I am now here. This is the all-important mole ratio step. This is where we go from moles of aluminum oxide to moles of aluminum. So I'm going to put my moles of what I want to get rid of on the bottom and the moles of what I want to find on the top, so that we cancel the moles we don't want. The numbers come from the balanced equation. So 4 is my coefficient for aluminum, and 2 is my coefficient for aluminum oxide. Don't reduce these. The math will be taken care of through the calculator. Leave this to show you know what your balanced equation is. Now, we have changed substances. We're now in aluminum. We started with aluminum oxide. We are here. The last step is to go to grams, and we're going to use our molar mass. So moles of aluminum and 26.98 grams per mole of aluminum. Okay, moles of aluminum will cancel, leaving me with grams. Oops, I guess that's done. I can remove that line. I will be left with grams of aluminum. Looking at the problem, the only number I'm given has 3 sig figs, and my molar masses from the periodic table have more sig figs than that. So my answer should be rounded to 3 sig figs. Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, divide the top by the bottom, and you wind up with 12.9 grams of aluminum. That was a beast. Okay, that is as bad as it's going to get, having to convert 2 moles, use the mole ratio, and convert out of moles to another unit.